Hello and happy Wednesday. Just me back here with another one of our now forever shortened little tidbits on our drive to work. I hope everyone had a really awesome weekend. And a couple of things, if you are local to the East Coast, we had a cool earthquake. I was in my fifth period class and everything started shaking. And I first thought like a big truck was kind of driving by because we're in the back of our school. And sometimes there's like construction and there's like a big dumpster back there. And then I shortly realized that was not happening and it was an earthquake. My students obviously went bonkers. Parents were calling, so funny. We did have a kid that got like early dismissal a couple minutes later. And I was like, oh, mommy needs you home. Like, first kid to get called out. And he was like, no, I swear. I had a dentist appointment. I swear. But I thought that was pretty interesting. I do remember that we had one in like 2013 or something like that. And I was like laying on my bed at the time in my apartment. And I thought my like ex-boyfriend had like snuck home and like tried to scare me. So I was like, stop it, get out from under the bed. Ha ha ha. And he wasn't home. So this is my second earthquake that I've survived. And then there was an aftershock, which I've never felt before, which is pretty interesting, but a pretty wild event. And then, of course, we had the amazing eclipse that everyone was going absolutely bonkers over. Um, I'm a part of a lot of Facebook mom groups due to like trying to get clients and whatnot. And wow, is that a world? I mean, if anyone is part of Facebook mom groups, you know, it is almost like a multi fake universe in those groups. The things that are said, the things that are argued over are just out of control. I can't handle them. And I swear, people thought the world was ending. Like so mortified that schools weren't canceled, that after school sports weren't canceled. How are these kids going to be safe? I literally think they thought like if you were outside during this time, you got like burnt to a crisp and just disappeared. I don't know if people say it to be like silly and cause controversy, but I'm pretty sure it was very anticlimactic. I mean, I looked at it just to see what all the hype was about the glasses. And yeah, it's just like looking at the sun on any other day. It fucking hurts your eyes and then you look away. I did have glasses because my kids' school gave them out. It was cool to like peek at. And then it got like mediocre dark, like it would before any kind of thunderstorm. And then it was over. I don't know. I just don't get like worked up over these kinds of things. I don't think they're that cool. But people were like flying across the country to like see it in its entirety. But to each their own. I guess I would fly across the country for food. They flew across the country for an eclipse, right? Everyone has their own thing. So a nice fun week with a lot of cool events. Um, Today's episode is going to be about the top 3 mistakes that I see most 30 plus females making, and probably just everyone making. You could probably lump dudes into this too, under 30, over 60, doesn't really matter. And they're probably going to sound obvious, but everyone who probably doesn't have a coach or is struggling to lose weight, you're probably making these. And if you just change these 3 things, you're going to see changes. It's going to work. So that's what we're going to go into today. This is like a late one. It's 7 o'clock at night and I'm doing this. And I might just fall asleep because I made beef stroganoff, which is like my favorite meal. But I have no off switch with this dish. So I only eat it like once every 2 years for like a special occasion. My aunt from Georgia is up for the first time in 2 years. So I had my parents over and I made it. And let's just say I probably ate equivalent to what the 5 other adults ate. I just love it so much. I have an empty pit for it. It's so good. I made my mom take the leftovers because, like I said, I won't have it again now for probably another 2 years. But I'm definitely in a little bit of a food coma. Okay, so the first mistake that I see the most often when new clients come to me or I'm just talking to people in general, right, is probably under eating protein. Now, this is part of a bigger umbrella of like problems with just like having no idea what you're taking in, like very, very oblivious to your actual health or like your actual diet. But under eating protein is probably the number one thing that if people changed it, they would start to see a difference in a lot of different areas. So a lot of women that come to me think that they are eating enough protein, right? Because they'll put like a couple pieces of grilled chicken on their salad. They'll have avocado toast with an egg on it. They may even put protein in their coffee or maybe even have a protein shake once a day. And then for dinner, they may also have another piece of chicken. You know, one egg, a protein shake, a couple of slices of chicken at dinner and a couple of slices of chicken at lunch probably is like 60 grams of protein, which could be only a third of what they should be eating. So under eating protein is so, so common. I really think in all of the 200 plus clients I've had, one person has come to me eating significant protein. That's it. And she's just like a meat lover. So that is probably the number one thing that is true across the board with every potential and every new client that I have ever met. And even again, just friends and family, even my own fucking mother, right? If anyone follows me on social media, you've seen that like she busts my balls all the time because she's starting to like work out and lift weights, but like her diet is such shit. She's very thin. She's, very, very lean, but she needs muscle. She's under muscled. She's 70 years old and she doesn't have an ounce of muscle on her. And when I ask her what she eats for breakfast, she'll be like, well, first she'll tell me like she ate French toast sticks, which is true, like any toddler. And then she'll bust my balls the next day and be like, I had steak, egg whites, and yogurt, like to be a jerk when she really had an English muffin. So it's so, so common. And it not only will change how you feel, it's going to start to change the way you look if you do any sort of working out, right? Your body needs protein to create muscle. So if you're putting in any kind of effort in the gym or at workout classes, but you're not eating protein, you're not going to see the changes that you want. So increase your protein, right? It's going to make you feel fuller longer. It's going to burn more calories when you digest it, and it's going to start to help you put on muscle. There's so many benefits from it. And a very simple way to do this is just add more protein to each meal. So if you're having avocado toast with an egg on it for breakfast, have avocado toast with an egg on it and some egg whites on the side. If you're having scrambled eggs on an English muffin for breakfast, have scrambled eggs plus a cup of egg whites on an English muffin. Super simple. You don't have to change your meals up. Just add more protein to that meal. Um, Eggs are a very crucial source of protein for breakfast. Unless you really don't care what kind of food you eat during the day, it is a little tricky to get protein in if you don't like eggs. Now, I have a couple recipes where egg whites are a part of it that you don't taste the egg whites. So I always give those to my non-egg eaters, but add egg whites to pretty much any meal. They're pretty much tasteless, and they pack a lot of protein with no other macronutrient in it. So that is my suggestion for breakfast, right? If you're having a salad for lunch, up the protein. If you're putting 3 ounces of chicken on your salad, put 6, right? It might seem like a lot, but you need it. Eat the protein first, and then if you can finish the salad, finish the salad. If you're making a sandwich, increase the protein. If you're going out to eat, just again, increase the protein. You don't have to change your meals, just add more. And same with dinner, right? We want to increase the amount we're eating. And if that means you have to weigh and eyeball or, instead of using your palm as the size of protein, use your husband's or your spouse's, use someone with a bigger palm. Now, if that's not enough, right, just upping, start to create protein snacks. So, first step is to just increase the amount in each meal. Second step is to create new meals in between that have it. So, one of my go to snacks, all right, is always cottage cheese on a rice cake. It's delicious. I put everything bagel seasoning on it. I could eat 30. Great source of a protein snack. My non-fat Greek yogurt dessert bowls, another great dessert snack, ton of protein, right? That's non-fat Greek yogurt with sugar-free Jello cheesecake powder. Mix it around, tastes like cheesecake. Throw some berries in and a couple of chocolate chips. There you go, protein-heavy snack. Even a protein bar every once in a while. We obviously don't want a ton of protein bars or protein shakes. Usually one a day is max, but that's another great source. So if you can't get enough by just adding more to your meals, start creating snacks with it. All right. Second one. And this one's hard for me to even admit because I'm still working on this. And I really thought I was a great worker outer. Um, but I'm not yet. I still have a lot of work to do on my intensity in the gym. And if I have a lot of work to do, then most people have a lot of work to do. And not saying that I'm on a pedestal, I'm not any better, but I've been doing it for a while, right? And I'm a pretty intense person. So the fact that even like my first day in the gym, I never grabbed 10-pound dumbbells, right? Like I always went for the heavy stuff. I always thought I was stronger than I was, or I wanted to be lifting with the dude. So I've been lifting heavy since the day I've been lifting. But I haven't been lifting with the intensity that I need. And I still struggle with that. I still send my coach videos and he's like, why did you stop? You had more. Or like, you need to be pushing out 2 more reps or adding weight. He'll still call me out. Every once in a while I'll get a good set and I know it, but there's a lot of times where I'm not there yet. So the big thing here, right, is training with intensity. And I don't mean making your heart rate spike. I don't mean sweating more. I don't mean getting more fucking splat points or burning more calories on your watch. That's not what intensity is. Intensity is like the effort you put towards a certain thing. And strength training is so important for body composition. And I really do think, even though most women are obsessed with the scale, we care more about how we look, right? So I always ask new clients or potential clients who say, like, I want to lose 20 pounds. And I said, well, what about if I said you won't lose any weight, but you'll lose 20 inches? And they're like, oh, hell yeah. Like, I'll pick inches. And that's what they really want. They just kind of associate the two together. And it's not true, right? Weight does not equal inches, and inches doesn't equal weight. And if we want to lose inches, aka be smaller, tighter, toned, we have to grow muscle. Muscle takes up less space. In order to grow muscle, you have to put your muscles under pretty extreme tension. You have to really work them. You can't just have them burn. You can't just have them get tired. You can't just have it be hard. It has to go past that level, right? Because I could hold my arm out straight for 60 seconds and it's going to burn. I did not gain any muscle doing that. Okay. Another example of like being sore. When you get a first snowstorm and you go out and shovel, you're sore the next day. You did not grow lats shoveling snow. You just did a different movement than you have been for a while. So you have to get past the fact that, oh, I'm sore, I must be growing muscle. That's not the case. It's because these boot camps just switch up exercises all the time that you're just constantly getting sore in new pathways. You're not growing muscle. And if you just peek around at these boot camps at F45, at Orange Theory, at, I don't know, Sally's One Body or whatever, women plateau, right? They walk in, they lose some weight, they gain a little bit of muscle, but then they pretty much stay at that point. And that's because they don't push to that intensity. They're not lifting heavy enough. They're not under tension long enough. They're not progressing each week. There's so many times where I have clients that I've been working with for a year and they send me videos of them squatting. And I'm just like, girl, you could probably add 100 pounds to that. Like, I know your legs are burning, but you're flying through these, right? Or like they'll send me videos of them doing bicep curls and like, yeah, they're like wincing a little bit. Again, they are flying through these bicep curls and then they just stop. I don't know if it got hard in their head or they just hit a certain rep count, so they stopped. But there's so much, I'm going to make a word up, underestimation. I'm not sure if that's a word or not, in how strong we are and how hard we have to lift. That is something that I really think we all need to assess, that if we've been working out, we've been doing ourselves a disservice if we are constantly changing movement patterns and we are not going to at least close to failure on, 3 lifts a week, a day, a training session. Sorry. And again, like videotape yourself. You're gonna see. Like I ask my clients all the time and they probably curse at me under their breath or just out loud. I'm like, why did you stop there? What was the reason? Or like, why did you pick that weight? And they really don't have an answer because they'll watch it back and be like, it got hard. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's okay. Like you still have probably like 6 more in the tank once it got hard. Another thing, right, is that the intensity, at least I believe, right, and Coach Steph kind of agrees with me, it's harder to gauge on lower body exercises. And this is why our upper body does develop quicker than our lower body, right? If you're new to lifting, you're going to see your shoulder muscles, your biceps really pop more than like your quads or even your ass, right? Like I have very defined shoulders and whatnot. And my legs are strong, but they're not nearly as popped or defined as my upper body. And that's because it's much easier for me to grasp failure on a lat pull down than on a squat, right? Like lat pull down, I just can't pull the machine really further and it doesn't get down to my chest. And you know what? That was failure. But a squat, because the weight is so much heavier, because my lungs are beating out of my chest along with my heart, I feel like I'm failing, but I'm not. And then I look back at a video and I'm like, shit, like I clearly had more, like my pace is too fast. So I do understand that it's harder to judge on lower body, one, because you're just lifting more weight. So you're fucking tired, right? Your heart rate gets you sometimes before the weight does, but we have to do a better job at putting more intensity into our lifts. No one is going to grow muscles by lifting weights that are lighter than your grocery bags. So keep that in mind, right? Lightweight and super high reps does work, but like super high reps means like 60. And I don't know anyone that has time for that. So lift heavier, go to failure. That actually means stuff doesn't move. You're not picking that it stops. All right. And then the last thing, I do have a bonus fourth that I'll just do quickly. But the third thing is consistency and time. People give up way too quickly. People want change way too quickly, right? I have a really solid group of women that have been with me for like a year now. And when you look at it, they're the ones that are seeing the most change. And it's not because they're doing anything different. It's because they're just sticking with it. And out of that, out of that chunk of 40 women, I bet you at least 20 of them stay for 2 years. I bet you some of them even stay for 3. And they're the ones that are going to see the real transformation because they're not bouncing around. They're not coach hopping. They're not program hopping. They've kind of realized that the basics are everywhere and that one coaching company is probably going to preach very similar things to the next. It's just going to be how they deliver it and the connection you have with the coach. So they give it time. They're not looking to lose half their body weight in 3 months. They're not looking for a new secret or a new supplement or like, okay, we months 1 through 3, we're going to do this, but then 4 through 6, we're changing it up and we're doing this. And then months 7 through 9, we're going to do this, right? Because that's not that's not how it works. Like you really shouldn't be bouncing around from ideas and changes. Joining this slow, unsexy belief in basics is what gets it done and what gets you to that like food freedom, right? I've been on this journey now with my coach for over a year. I've been on the journey altogether for like 7. But it wasn't until this last year that I kind of realized I'll probably be with this coach till the end of my time, I guess, in needing a coach because we mesh well. And again, he just preaches the basics, and that's what I need. I don't need, no one I go to is going to have a different method that is all of a sudden going to fix the fact that I want more definition in my legs. You know who's going to fix that? Me, by lifting fucking heavier on my lower body lifts. That's what's going to fix it. Not a coach that's like, okay, well, we're going to do a drop set on Monday and an overload on Tuesday. And then you're going to not eat carbs on Wednesday. And then you're going to overeat protein on Thursday. Then you're going to see some real definition. Like that's fugazi marketing, right? Not the case. Basics work and you have to give it time. When you hear people like label body parts of theirs as trouble areas, right? Like most women will say, my lower stomach is my trouble area, or my hips, the back of my arms, my inner thighs, yada, 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 right? Whatever they claim is their trouble area. The only reason it's their trouble area is because it's probably one of the last places that their body pulls fat from. And that's all just written in your DNA, right? So where my body stores and pulls fat from compared to where my husband's body stores and pulls fat from is in our DNA. It has nothing to do with how I work out or how many sit-ups I do, right? Like I store my fat in my face right away and in my core. My husband is his back, right? So his back will get big. Once I lose weight, it actually comes from my face first, probably, and my stomach. Um, Husband, same thing. But the areas that take the longest are just because people aren't patient. Like your lower stomach will lose fat. It will. It's just going to be the last place. So you have to keep going. Like your body is not going to die of starvation with you having a chubby tummy, right? Like it's going to happen. It's going to pull fat from that area eventually if it needs it. You just have to get to that point where it needs it. And people quit, right? People quit after 4 or 6 weeks and their body never pulls from that area. And then they blame their body, right? Like, oh, I just can't lose weight in my lower stomach. It won't go anywhere. Well, it's because you tried for 6 weeks. You didn't try for, a year of dieting and maintenance. You quit too soon. You will lose area. You will lose fat in your trouble areas. It is 100% guaranteed if you just give your body enough time to pull from it. So those are the three things: protein, lifting intensity, and time, consistency. You have to be consistent and give things time. And the last one, which is a little, I don't want to say mean, but just me, I guess. No one listening to this podcast is going to be shocked. We have to fucking toughen up a little bit, right? Like it amazes me how, another word I'm going to make up, unresilient people are. Like life does not go smooth. If anyone thinks that, throw it out the window. It doesn't. Things happen. You get sick and then a car breaks and then your mom gets sick and then, you have to travel for something and then your kids get like something is always going to happen. You're going to have weddings, you're going to have travel, you're going to hurt yourself, you're going to get a runny nose, your kids are going to get sick. Like there is never going to be a day where something doesn't happen. Get over it. Adjust, go with the flow. Like stop wishing for this life that's never going to happen. There's always going to be issues. There's always going to be problems. Suck it up and get through it. Right? Like you have a runny nose, go to the fucking gym. Stop it. You have a sore throat. Cool. So does 4 million people in this world. Like let's just look back a little bit at like, your grandparents' generation or your great grandparents' generation fucking storming D-Day beaches, getting shot at with machine guns with almost no protection, and 4 bullet wounds, still fighting, not surrendering, living on loss of blood. And then we're like, oh, my throat is itchy, I just can't. Like, come on. Like, have some toughness, have some resiliency. Like, what happened to us over these last couple like generations? I like, my poor grandparents are no longer with us, but like, good Lord, they're probably shaking their heads at us, right? Like I teach history, so I guess I see it more about how brave and tough and everything that generation was. And then we have our wimps. I broke my pinky toe. I can't train for 6 months. Fucking cut it off. You'd be better off, right? Like I have a cold. I didn't work out for a week. Like I had a C-section and still somehow managed to get like workouts and steps in. All right. My back has herniated discs, bulging discs, and I still have not missed a workout in 6 months. I'm not saying that I went hard the whole time or I didn't make adjustments. I mean, last Saturday alone, my back hurt. I tweaked it on a squat. I didn't go home. Right. I did some work on machines. I did some steps. I did what I could, but I continued to work out and move. We just quit so easily, and we are so soft with sickness and life plans and, oh, poor me. Nothing about this world right now is actually hard. We have it so fucking easy that we've turned into such softies. Like, again, just take a look back 50, 60 years, right? Great Depression times, world wars where people were like lying about their age to go to war. I'm 14 years old, but I'm going to lie and say I'm 18 so I can go fight for this country and get shot at. Right now, we're running away with our tails between our legs about anything and have like anxiety passes in school. We have to toughen up a little bit, especially if we want change, right? You hate your reflection so much, but you're not willing to go through any sacrifice to change it. And I know that's a little bit like not kind, or I don't even, I think it is kind because we need to hear it. And my clients, especially who like pay me to help them, I'm doing them a disservice if I just tell them it's all okay, right? When I get some of these check ins where I'm shaking my head, I would be a really shitty coach if I was like, it's okay. Monday's a new week. And of course, like I do believe that, like that everyone can like get their pull their bootstraps back on and get going. I'm never going to yell at someone because it's their life. But I'm also going to be honest and be like, you made really shitty decisions that did nothing for your goal. And the fact that you're making it seem like someone like forced you to eat cake or mac and cheese is bullshit. Like you made those choices yourself, right? Nothing about your life is hard right now. The hardest thing you're dealing with is how to tell people that you can't celebrate your birthday 6 times because you're morbidly obese and you need to focus on losing weight. Like that's your dilemma. You're going to die soon because you're so overweight. And the biggest thing stressing you out is trying to tell your friends that you can't go out for cake and booze because you need to lose weight. Like, you know, look at reality a little bit here. Take a look at some third world countries and some real problems. Be a little bit tougher. If you want change, sacrifice. And be more resilient, be tougher, stop being so soft, stop playing victim, right? You did this to yourself. No one force fed you. No one made you sit on the couch and get 1,000 steps. You did it, right? So no one's the victim here besides, no one's victim actually. You just did it to yourself. So a little bit tough of an ending on this one, but I just think we all need to hear that every once in a while. And not saying I'm the toughest person in the world. Like I went paintballing once. I was petrified. I sat behind a wall and shot over my head. I don't like pain, but I'm also not one to complain and I figure shit out. Again, it was very much on how I was raised. Definitely a nature and nurture thing, but something I try and instill in my clients a little bit too. We have to toughen up. Okay. Hangnails, little tweaks in our back. Those are not fucking injuries. Losing your legs with an IED, that's an injury. Go watch Instagram accounts of people with like missing arms and no legs, fucking power cleaning, and then tell me your like SI joint really hurts. We just, figure it out. It makes you tougher as a person. Life is not kind, so got to have a little bit thicker skin. All right, so I think my fourth one was my longest one, which again shouldn't surprise you, but protein, lift fucking heavy, be consistent for a long period of time, and fucking toughen up. Have a lovely day. And I will talk to you guys next week. Remember, 93%. Show up, live A minus.